Koenigsegg, the secret lab where Sweden, in a former air base, builds rockets with wheels. But how does a tiny team out-engineer giants and break speed records like it's nothing? It's not just horsepower, there's much more under that hood. Let's crack it open. When you arrive at the Koenigsegg factory, you're not looking at some giant, modern glass building. You're looking at an old hangar that used to belong to the Swedish Air Force. On the outside, it's a simple brick building, but the moment you step inside, everything changes. The floors are bright white and so clean you could eat off them. It feels more like a lab for building computer chips than a place where they build 1,600 horsepower monsters. This place immediately tells you they don't mass-produce cars here. They build them by hand, one at a time, with crazy attention to detail. Your journey starts where the car's heart is born, the engine shop. Here, giant blocks of aluminum are carved down by machines with pinpoint accuracy. This is where they make the engine parts. Koenigsegg designed this engine to be a masterpiece. They worked on everything from the shape of the pistons to the special spark plugs that can sense what's happening inside the engine. A normal factory might make hundreds of engines a day. They carefully build just a few, and every single bolt is tightened by hand. It's pure craftsmanship. Right next to that is the transmission area. However, the word transmission doesn't do it justice. For a car like the Jesko, they built a 9-speed gearbox with 7 clutches. That's not a typo, 7 clutches. This lets the car shift from any gear to any other gear almost instantly. Technicians check every single gear and bearing by hand. There are no robots here, just people making sure every part is perfect. But making your own engine and transmission is just the start. The real secret to a Koenigsegg is its skeleton, and for that, they had to become experts in something most car companies don't touch. So, was the key to their speed found in metal, or in something much, much lighter? And this leads us to the carbon fiber workshop. So, they make their own parts, but how do they build the car's main frame to be both super strong and light as a feather? The answer is the carbon fiber tub. This is the strong, lightweight shell that the whole car is built around. Koenigsegg decided to make these tubs themselves so they could have total control over the quality. The process has 7 exact steps. First, they lay down sheets of carbon fiber into a mold. Then, they bake it in a huge oven called an autoclave at around 120 degrees Celsius for hours. This makes the carbon fiber incredibly hard and rigid. After it's baked, they trim it, finish it, and drill holes with extreme care. They treat these parts like they're for a fighter jet, not a car. The frame that comes out is the backbone for a 1,600 horsepower beast. Therefore, making things in-house is a huge part of the Koenigsegg DNA. It's not just about the engine or the tub. They make almost everything themselves, from the wheels to the wiring. This ensures that every single part of the car works together perfectly. Take their air core wheels. They are made completely of carbon fiber and are hollow on the inside. This makes them incredibly light, which helps the car handle better. Even the wires that run through the car are put together by hand by specialists right there in the factory. You'd expect a place where they work with carbon fiber to be a little messy, but not here. The floors are spotless because even a single speck of dust could weaken a part. You can just feel the focus in the air. Machines are humming, and people are working quietly, making sure every part is flawless. Okay, so they make all these perfect, lightweight parts by hand. But how do you actually put this high-tech puzzle together to create a car, especially when one tiny mistake could ruin a multi-million-dollar machine? This brings us to the main assembly station. This is where the skeleton meets the skin. The finished carbon fiber tub is lifted into place, and the rest of the frame, made from strong aluminum and titanium, is attached to it. Then, the body panels, like the doors and fenders, are slid on. The technicians work slowly, almost silently. They are feeling and listening to make sure every panel lines up with millimeter accuracy. It's like watching someone build a fine guitar. Each workstation has bins of parts that are specifically for the car being built. Every screw, every sensor is matched to that car's unique serial number. Nothing is generic. This is why it can take years to get your car after you order it. Once the body is together, the drivetrain goes in. The engine and transmission are carefully threaded into place and bolted down with the same level of care you'd see in the aerospace industry. Then, they connect all the plumbing for the turbos and the cooling systems. These cars produce so much power that every gasket and hose has to be tough enough to survive extreme stress. Next up is the electronics bay. The handmade wiring is routed through the car, and all the computers and screens are plugged in and tested. The software that runs the car is also written by Koenigsegg. It's not some off-the-shelf program. It's custom-made for each car. Testers can even update the car's computer over the air, just like your phone gets updates. Now, you'd think that after all this work, the car would head to a final quality control station for one last big check. But here's the twist. At Koenigsegg, there is no final inspection step. Why? Because quality control isn't a step at the end. It's something they do all day, every day. At every single station, whether it's the engine shop, the carbon fiber lab, or the main assembly line, they are constantly checking, measuring, and remeasuring everything. Every tool they use logs data. If a part is even a tiny bit off, they fix it right then and there. Every single step is an inspection. After assembly, the car goes to the paint shop. This isn't a huge automated paint line. It's a smaller, cleaner operation where technicians paint each car by hand. They spray multiple layers, and then they wet sand and polish the paint until it shines like a mirror with zero swirl marks. This paint isn't just for color, it's a protective skin. Then, the car moves to get its wheels in alignment. They use lasers and cameras to make sure the suspension is set up perfectly for high-speed handling. The lightweight air core wheels go on, and the tires are balanced twice just to be sure. The brakes are bled by hand. The car is then put on rollers to test the engine, and the super fast gear shifts without ever leaving the building. They listen for any strange vibrations or noises to make sure everything is perfect before it hits the real road. So the car is built, painted, and tested to be mechanically perfect. But what about the part you actually live in? And how does Koenigsegg make sure that a multi-million-dollar hypercar feels like it was built just for you? Well, this is where the human touch becomes even more obvious. Inside the car, workers can spend up to 350 hours just polishing different parts, from sections of the steering wheel to the engine cover. It's an obsession with perfection. This is what makes a Koenigsegg feel alive, not just assembled. But what really sets it apart is the personalization. When you order a Koenigsegg, you get to choose almost everything. You want a specific color of paint, a unique pattern for the seat stitching, or even seats made from ostrich leather. They can do it. In their showroom, they have samples of everything you can choose from. If you pick something unusual, like that ostrich leather, they will test it for months to make sure it's durable and works with all the car's sensors before they put it in your car. Once the car is completely finished, it's time for more testing. It goes into a special aerodynamics chamber. Huge fans create winds of over 300 kilometers per hour to simulate driving at top speed. Engineers watch how the air flows over the car and make tiny adjustments to the wings and flaps. At 275 kilometers per hour, the Jesco needs almost 1,000 kilograms of downforce to stay stuck to the ground. They even designed the side mirrors to help direct air to the rear wing. After that, it's back to the dyno for a final power check. They strap the car down and let the engine roar. The Jesco consistently makes over 1,600 horsepower. But they don't just look at the numbers. They listen to the engine's sound. If it doesn't sound exactly right, they'll actually adjust the exhaust system until it does. Finally, the car is taken to the runway right outside the factory. A test driver straps in and pushes the car to its limits. They test everything, from full throttle acceleration to braking from 400 kilometers per hour. This is the ultimate real-world test to make sure everything works perfectly under pressure. Now, let's say your dream car is finally built and tested. You've got infinite money. What happens when you actually go to pick up your multi-million-dollar masterpiece? The delivery is an event in itself. Owners are invited to the factory in Sweden. Often, Christian von Koenigsegg himself is there to greet you. You see your car for the first time, fresh off the test track. He hands you the keys, and then you get to drive it on the factory's private runway with a Koenigsegg test driver beside you. You get to feel the insane acceleration and braking for yourself. But the relationship doesn't end when you drive away. Every Koenigsegg is connected to the factory through the cloud. The car sends data back during service checks. If the factory computers notice that a part is starting to wear out, they can notify the owner before it becomes a problem. They also invite owners to special track days and events. It's like being part of an exclusive club. Therefore, when you see a Koenigsegg on the road, you're not just looking at a car. You're looking at thousands of hours of work by people who are obsessed with perfection. You're seeing the result of a company that decided to make everything itself, from the engine to the wheels to the software. It's a story of human skill and wild engineering. The Regera RS broke the world speed record for a production car in 2017, hitting 277.9 miles per hour. And they built the Jesco Absolute with the goal of going even faster. Designed with minimal drag, CD of 0.278 for top speed runs. That's the Koenigsegg way, always pushing for more. So, Koenigsegg or Bugatti? Which king of speed would you put in your garage? Let me know your pick in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can join us for the next deep dive. Drive safe, and we'll see you on the next one.